Welcome to Peptides Are Just the Beginning. Build the sales engine that turns every opportunity into prescriptions. Let's just jump in and I'll briefly tell you why I'm so excited about this topic right now. It's all I've really been thinking about and focusing on and researching. But right now, the window is wide open. Peptides, GLP-1s, central fill, they really are reshaping where independent pharmacy revenue comes from. And you may have noticed, the FDA, things shift all the time, right? Opportunities change, they morph. We've had a lot of opportunities change and shift, and it's our patients and our prescribers that rely on us to know what's going on and to be able to guide them. So recently, the FDA enforcement moved the old 503B playbook. So right now, if you're dispensing GLPs to your patients today, it's not coming from 503Bs. It's coming from either you're a sterile compounder or it's from central fill relationships. And that's a whole nother thing and a whole nother webinar topic. But the pharmacies that reach prescribers first with all these opportunities and with all these messages and regulatory changes, they're the ones that are going to own the relationship for years. So this is a window and windows close. So you don't want to sit back and wait for your competitors or for online or the gray market or whatever it is to take your prescribers and your clinics away from you. You want to maintain that relationship that you have. And that's what we're talking about today. So I'm really excited about that. Today's session, it's not a theory talk, it's a plan that you can start with this week. And we have an expert here, which I'll introduce her in just a sec, but she's boots on the ground doing this in real life. So we're going to size the opportunity, show you how to remove the friction, and give you a way to build this skill. And then at the end of this webinar today, we're going to open up something real. It's a small first group of really hands-on provider liaison training that we're launching today with Tara. So we'll get into that. We'll show you all that. It's so exciting because, pharmacy owners and entrepreneurs and employees have been asking for this for a long time. And so we have the infrastructure and everything set for you. So I'm Nicolette. If you guys don't know me, Nicolette Mathey, pharmacist, the founder of Atrium24 and Dotti AI. I've been in pharmacy for a long time, and Dotti AI is pharmacy's first fully integrated CRM, which is a customer relationship manager that all the cool pharma folks use, and anybody in business development uses a CRM. So we have the first one specifically for pharmacy, and it's a really great sales enablement tool. So happy to introduce, if you don't know her, Tara Yazinski. She's our guest speaker today. And Tara, I'll let you introduce yourself too, but we're so excited to have you with us today and to show all of our pharmacy owners what you're doing on the ground and in the offices now.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Tara Yazinski. I'm Director of Business Development for Flatirons Family Pharmacy in Longmont, Colorado. And I came from Big Pharma, worked in Big Pharma in the DC area for many years, came into the compounding world several years ago in Boulder, Denver area. And what I found is that the relationships that reps or sales reps were supposed to make or supposed to develop, they were never really taught how. And when I attend conferences, many pharmacy owners would come up and ask me, like, what do we use? Is there a system? So over the last 2 years, that's what I've been working on. It's been a passion project of mine. And so today we're going to introduce to you the Provider Liaison Field Framework, or as we like to call it, PLFF for easy. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm super excited to partner with Atrium24 and Dotti AI and Nicolette and the team to bring it to all the independent pharmacy owners across the country.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tara. And we're really excited about this collaboration. I know you guys at Flatirons have seen incredible growth, incredible adoption. You have real structure and system and processes now. I
Yes.
know you guys have been using Dotti for some time, and you have, not only are you out there repping and growing the business like crazy, but you're also hiring more reps, training them, putting them through your trainings. Do you have
Yes.
any kind of numbers that you could share with us that you're seeing in your store?
Well, absolutely. I did a 90 days, most recent 90 days compared to last year at this time, 90 days. Prescription growth, sheer number of prescriptions, and as pharmacy owners, I know you and numbers, we all appreciate this. But you have to understand, coming in as a provider liaison, there's so much to learn that really truly being able to dial down to what is not only more scripts, but what scripts are more profitable, what have a higher profit margin. Like those things take a little time if you don't
Right.
know. And I managed to implement systems that help you learn how to target, and Dotti AI is excellent in that too, is that the PLF actually utilizes Dotti AI in a way that is seamless and it really complements each other to save time and be able to capitalize on growing and really attending to the relationships of those providers that really are your growth drivers, right?
Yeah. That's really exciting. And that's, we were at Atrium X and earlier this year, and that's really spawned a lot of the creations and the collaborations that we've had. We're working with Adam on the AI course, and Tara with this provider liaison course, and it's very different subject matter, right? But we have so many pockets of folks that are passionate and really good at so many things. And so it just makes perfect sense. Like for us, we are a technology platform. So that's what we're looking to do. But at the end of the day, it's hard. We get the questions, how do I set this up? Or how do I train my team? Or, we know that based on Dotti AI, we're supposed to go visit these prescribers with this message, with these marketing resources and document it and track everything in Dotti here. But how are we having the conversation? Who are we targeting? What are we doing in the office and things like that? And so that's that and much, much more is
Mm-hmm.
what Tara brings with her Provider Liaison Field Framework training, which is super exciting.
Yeah, the whole goal is to honestly try to help provider liaisons, sales reps, whatever we're calling them, um, feel confident when they go out to providers' offices. Because what I found, even coming in as a seasoned pharmaceutical rep that had a lot of knowledge in multiple disease states, from pain to hormone and whatnot, I felt overwhelmed with this year. What are they going to ask? Am I going to feel prepared? Right. And the reality is, you got, as pharmacists, pharmacy owners, you have those answers in your head, but to be able to translate that in an efficient way to your provider liaison so that they feel confident and are able to effectively communicate to providers or the staff takes a lot of time. And so what I did was try to simplify that and truly train reps to be able to have conversations without having every answer to all of the questions, right? What do you do in those situations? So you're not creating a speed bump. The goal is that even after the 4-week cohort, that you will be able to implement this out in the field and really start making headway, as opposed to, like most reps, they feel overwhelmed and scattered and not getting a lot accomplished. And when you don't have a framework, you're randomly calling on providers, and that random activity doesn't equal, that equals random growth, which is not what we want. We want sustained and predictable growth. So
That's exactly right. Anybody in pharmacy loves a system, that's for sure. I have your numbers slide.
perfect. Yes. So
I
that's
have,
why I wanted to,
yeah.
specifically when I was talking about the difference with, okay, prescription growth, right? But prescription growth, depending on what the prescription is, doesn't necessarily, right? So that's a part that we dive into over time. But this is the 90-day comparison. 90 days, the current 90 days compared with last year 90-day. And as you can see, prescription growth is up significantly. Gross profit is up. The shift is, last year at this time, the GLP-1s were taken off a little bit. So then we were trying to drive our other scripts. So this is obviously a positive. The other part that I think y'all will appreciate is the margin improvement. That's gross profit margin improvement. So I think generally, if you can dial in on that, and Dotti also helps guide you. Dotti AI helps you a ton with that, as far as streamlining that process instead of having to pull multiple reports. So that's huge.
Yeah.
And prescriptions filled, I think that kind of, like, you know, it speaks for itself. Ours, we're consistently growing. If you look at our ketamine program specifically, that was something that wasn't really being attended to simply because of, time wise and whatnot. So we did a focused ketamine program, and as you can see, 66% over last year, which is huge. Hormone therapy, those are the areas that, like, when GLP-1s went away temporarily, for us, we really dialed up. And not only do we dial up those prescriptions, as you can see, we sustained that growth. It wasn't just a blip, right? And that is the whole goal, that when you develop and establish provider relationships that are quality, when the providers and the staff look at you as a valuable resource as opposed to somebody that drops off an order form or brings them lunch randomly, I promise you those relationships are solid, and those you want to be the provider in the pharmacy that they think of when they have a question, because
Right.
you are going to follow through and be that resource for them.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for walking through this because it really helps to cement it in reality, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I love too that you focused on the high growth opportunities, not just GLPs, because
Right.
the the most sophisticated pharmacies, yes, they're dispensing GLPs when they're available, when your state allows it, when the supply chain is open, it changes. Uh,
Yes.
but then you can't neglect all the other categories. And you can identify on your own, you can run reports, and Dotti AI automatically puts in front of you if you say, if you ask, you can talk to it. Hey, Dotti AI, I want to increase my other profitable revenue streams for my pharmacies, or I want to start to grow my hormone therapy program, or I want to launch a ketamine program. So Dottie will actually comb through all of your prescribers in your database and everything that everything that you've dispensed, and then it'll tell you, reach out to these prescribers. They're the most likely to write for these things. This is
Mm-hmm.
the message. Do you want to automatically create a task? Do you want to assign it to someone? So not neglecting your hormone, your ketamine, your LDN, your veterinary, all these things while some other hot topic is going on, because that way you're getting just a bigger basket for those prescribers, and it's not just that one, this is the hot thing, I'm only going to talk about this hot thing, and then it's going to drop off and I'm going to let those relationships go cold.
Absolutely, absolutely. And truly, by expanding, so like your portfolio, so to speak, of what we offer, it does expand your value to the provider and what you can do for their practice, right?
Yep. And that's so smart too. I love what you said about making sure that if your prescribers have questions, they come to you,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not the only rep that's coming into their office, and you're not the only pharmacy that's coming in. So if you're genuine and you're reliable and you have
Mm-hmm.
good information, and they know that you're looking out for them too, and
Right.
not talking them into dispensing research grade products or anything like that, and staying on top of the FDA and the state board and what's going on, then if any rep does come in with a kind of message, they'll just ask you, what is this?
Exactly.
Do you do this? Is
And
this
quite
legal?
honestly, to that point, Nicolette, that has what has been happening recently, given the peptide market, right? So many
Right.
providers are asking, what do you guys do? What are you going to do? So and so over here is providing this, da 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 da.
Yeah.
So we've been rolling out educational materials so they know what is and what isn't, right? So that when it is approved, we are going to be ready with the support of the Dotti launch resources for the
Yeah.
peptides that are coming up. So we have that background information already, so that when they are able, we're ready to go. And providers are going to feel better knowing that we're sourcing our peptides and whatnot from. And it feels good to know that they want to know what you're doing, right? We want to be the go-to.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Well, tell us, Tara, how the
Yeah.
landscape has changed. We talked about that a little bit just everybody's asking about peptides. I was even at
Yeah.
the gym this morning and they're asking me all about peptides and all, do you have them yet? And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
only a few, not the ones, the CJC and not the fun ones that you're looking for yet. But
Right.
with
But that's why I feel like this is a perfect opportunity to, even though we don't have access to those peptides just yet, they're coming, right?
right,
So
hopefully.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully.
So, but we can provide the resources to providers when they ask by get because most well, I don't know about what you guys are seeing, but I have providers like most cases that run the gamut. I have a handful that are and actually consider themselves well-versed expert in peptides, have been doing protocols for years and years. And then you have the other extreme that they're still asking, what different peptides are, what's the difference between like the scary stuff that you get asked sometimes too.
Educating them really and being a source of truth because then they can see too that you're not just out for a quick buck.
Exactly. And that is a big part of this, right? Like coming from the big pharma world, you're carrying a bag. We call it drugs you have in your bag. You have a handful of bags and you're promoting those products in those specific disease states. Independent compounding pharmacy world, it is the full gamut, right? And it's truly independent or truly individualized, personalized medicine. So how can we dial that in order for it to be digestible, palatable to somebody coming in to represent your pharmacy and then communicate that to your provider so that
Yeah.
the provider doesn't see them as just some person, doing their job, but doing their job with the skills that they were provided, right? And so
Mhm.
Provider Liaison Field Framework is coming in and basically training your provider liaison for you or you as the pharmacy owner or director of business development so that you can then hire and train your future provider liaisons. Like that is the goal so that
Right.
we can increase the way or improve the way, make it more of a standard so that when offices or providers think of compounding pharmacy people coming in, they view us as resources, right? Like valuable resources, not just somebody like dropping off, just to write this specific drug because of the market share.
Right, right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I know Tiffany's on the webinar too, our marketing manager here at Atrium24, and she always talks about the challenger method
Mm-hmm.
in sales and marketing, and it's leading with education. And so that's a lot why we do these webinars too, just open to the public, where it's like, of course we're going to talk about our passion and our life's work that we do, and we're going to try to make it educational so that we can all learn from each other and you can still take something from this webinar to implement into your own practice. And so that when you do advance it, and if you are looking for technologies or trainings in the future, you think of us, but you don't have to. It's
Mm-hmm.
all part of just being a valuable resource.
Absolutely.
So this is what we see. We see it a lot. We work with hundreds of pharmacies in I think 45 plus states. And unfortunately, what we see is two failure modes sometimes. So one, we'll have some pharmacies that hire a rep with no system. And so they're like, well, I'm just going to hire the rep. And either they don't think about the complexities of what has to happen to make them feel successful in their job and get a return on your investment, or that, they don't know how to build it. That was me when I was first hiring my reps. I didn't know. I just thought, well, the reps know what to do. But that's not fair because they do, but they still need infrastructure and systems and training. So, no system, no targets, no training. And then you kind of wonder why nothing happens. And it gets really painful after you run the first few payrolls and you're starting to pay expenses and it's just you're not seeing the business increase. Maybe you're not even really knowing where to look because you already had some of these prescribers in your database. And even if the rep is effective and they're growing the book of business for those prescribers, you don't really have a way to visualize it or capture it. So we see that. And then two, pharmacy owners, we're so busy. And something that I heard recently resonated a lot is you're not doing a bad job, you're just doing a lot of jobs. So it's true. You're doing so many jobs, so you just never hire, never start, and the window closes while you're waiting to feel ready. And plus, this is uncomfortable for us. It's not, business development and feeding the beast and all that is not in, the pharmacy's typical traits. But it all comes from the same gap where no process and no tools. So what we hear a lot, the reason owners stay stuck is I'm not ready to hire yet. So you don't need to hire to start. We'll be talking to pharmacies about Dotti. We'll be at trade shows talking about our cool software and how you can grow your business profitably with intention. And they say, "Well, I will. I'll join Dotti when I hire my rep." And you don't need to hire someone to start. Most pharmacies in the country, if you think about it, don't have a dedicated sales rep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's not the first step. The first step is not to hire someone. The first step is to build out a process. Or they'll say, I don't have anyone to manage this. So your process needs to do the managing and give visibility, and the tools do the tracking. And that way everything's not bottlenecking on the pharmacy owner. I've done that before too, where, you know, it all has to come through you.
And that's to your point. That is, I've marveled, and I've said this to Jenna, our owner at Flatirons, many times, like fascinated, in awe of y'all that pharmacy owners that have owned and operated and have managed to raise families and all the other things, because there are, as you said, there are, it's impossible to do all of the amazing things that we all offer excellent, right? And
Right.
so, and I also understand that is difficult from an owner standpoint, in that you've tried before, you see that you've invested money before, and you see that as a lot, it was lost before. You've either hired a marketing firm or they didn't come to fruition. And all of those are valid. And that is what I was told as well. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to see if there is something that we could put together so we could follow along, so that it would make that easier. So there's, like I said, become a standard in the industry, and so that owners can learn from it as well, so that you can understand what the rep is actually doing. Because I think
Right.
that is part of the disconnect too, that oftentimes owners are, it's like they're out in the field. What are they doing? And you want to see the numbers here. Well, we're teaching you the entire framework so that
Yeah.
you understand the ecosystem of what it engages, like in an office. And truly, it's not just the provider, right? It's the total office call, and like as what that looks like, and understanding the workflow in an office, right? Like that's huge. If you can talk to the pain points in offices, just like there's pain points in pharmacy, right? Like whoever is getting the callbacks, so how can I help
Yeah.
you out? How can I help be a better resource for you, type of thing. And I think when you lead with the relationship part, you're solid, because you can always provide the answers. You can always get the answer from your pharmacist, your PharmD. And that's my biggest sticking point too. If you say you're going to do something, you follow through and do it by the close of business that day. So
Yeah. Yeah. That way they can rely on you.
exactly.
Yeah. And that's what we see just time and time again. You know, well, I'll start chicken or the egg, you know, I'll start once I have a rep, and the reps are going to fail without a system. So if you
Mm-hmm.
build the system first, and a lot of a lot of pharmacy owners like to build a system and work it themselves for a little bit, just to work out the kinks and see if it's making sense, see if the team's on board, see if the team has input. And then you hire someone that has the attributes that you're looking for, and fits with your culture and your values and things like that. And then you train them into the system that you already know how to run it.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens too. And even anytime there's any kind of issue, it's just important to look, is this a people issue or is this a process issue?
Exactly.
And a lot of times in sales, it's process.
Yes. Yeah. And the reality is, conversations are dynamic, right? So emphasizing the importance of putting in your Dotti notes right after a call, and knowing that that conversation that I had with the provider, I put it into Dotti AI notes. So then next time I'm gonna go to in my route cycle to see that provider, I can. What I do is I ask Dotti AI to deep dive ballast, like a particular doctor. That's all I say, and pulls up all the details. Like this is where, like down to the point where then we decide whether she is optimizing her hormone, progesterone and coming in 50 mil. Like, do you know those type of area, like things that we can tweak, just like really nuanced stuff. So you can
Yeah.
go like top line, you can dive deep, and having these tools accessible to you sets the rep up for success, which then sets your pharmacy up for success, right? Even if
Yeah.
you're a pharmacy owner and you go out a couple days a week to provider offices, I promise you, going through and learning this framework will make your life so much easier, in the sense that it'll just organize things into categories or into places, which I know we all love. We want everything to fit into their spots, and also being able to understand and see the activity of calls of if you have a rep, or if you have a lab tech that you're thinking of training to go out. They're perfect examples of people that would, anybody can benefit from taking the Provider Liaison Field Framework. They don't have to be a pharmacist, they don't have to be a lab tech. people ask me all the time, what's the ideal hire? And oftentimes I'm like, it's all, I can give you generalizations, but my goal was to create this so that anybody coming into this could essentially learn the framework and implement it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it is work in the beginning, but then once you
Mm-hmm.
have that system rolling, I mean, that's when you can see real success. And so that's why we talk about the window too. The FDA is going to meet in the end of July to talk about the first round of peptides, the BPC 157 and the TB 500, and then they'll meet again in February. An executive order could just, open up the market immediately at any time. So since building this does take time, that's why for us in the market, the window is now. So with Atrium24, if you're interested, because what we like to do is we have an ROI calculator. It'll show you if your pharmacy is like small, medium, large, based on annual revenues. And if your benchmark scenario that you're looking to grow is like conservative or expected or aggressive. And then we have like sales curve levels. If you don't have any sales system built out at all, you're at a level 1. Don't worry, a lot of pharmacies are. Or, if you're Tara and Jen with Flatirons, you're at about a 4 or 5 in your sales level. And that's just like how built out is your sales system. And so we can assign numbers to that to show you ROI that you would see in your pharmacy, like how much growth you can expect based on all the data points that we're seeing through hundreds of pharmacies dispensing data in the country. And then we also have a product curve. So if you're not dispensing any 503B products or any 503A central fill sterile products yet, your product curve is at a 1. If you're dispensing, like Justin Clark in Val Vista, he did an ROI on 503B webinar for us. And he went from 0 to 34 different SKUs coming from 503B suppliers. And so that's grown his business so much too. So, you can identify your product curve level. And then if you're using the Dotti software, we have different membership tiers. And then if you're hiring a sales rep, yes or no, the ROI calculator will also bake in what are those costs for the sales rep and how does that stack against your expected revenue? Because if you don't have a sales rep, you don't have that expense, but it's going to take you longer to scale and ramp.
Mm-hmm.
Do have a sales rep, you're going to have some expense up front, but the exponential growth that you'll see is going to outpace the expense. It just takes a little bit of time. So there's ramps, ramp months to full with no rep, ramp months to full with rep, depending on what your sales curve is at and what your product curve is. So it's pretty cool. And we actually pull in real pharmacy numbers on the back end to power this calculator. So if you want to book a call with Sam, we'll get you, and if you just fill out Atrium's contact form, that's what starts the process for you to talk with Sam, and he'll show you a demo and show you the calculator, tell you which products are currently available in your state, and just what we know to be, without being lawyers, but what we know to be your state's position and what we're seeing other pharmacies in your state dispense, just so you can kind of get a real picture on what's the opportunity in your pharmacy. And then part 1, if you're really like, Nicolette, I want to go all in, I want to build a sales system. Part 1 is removing the friction with Dotti. So most pharmacy owners are drowning in tools that were never built for them. If you're out trying to build out HubSpot or Tableau, Power BI, Slack, they're very powerful tools, but they're overwhelming and they were made for big enterprise teams, not pharmacies. So Dotti is the simple, elegant alternative. That was my goal, and it's always my goal as the product manager to make sure that it's intuitive to use and that it's clean, because we don't need very complex, confusing, robust tools. We just need something that works and something that's very intuitive on what should I do today, or how's my rep doing? What have they been up to out in the field? All that's front and center in Dotti. Dotti AI identifies high value prescribers for your business because we are PMS integrated. So we pull in all your data from your PMS. Dotti builds the outreach plan. Dotti creates the tasks for you. I even asked Dotti AI to create a quarterly marketing plan since we're getting into a new quarter. And it's amazing what it looks at. It looks at all the CRM notes that you've been putting and what's been happening. And it looks at all your dispensing data and trends and new prescribers that have been added, or maybe things that have dropped off. And it'll give you your whole marketing plan for the quarter that you should roll out with your team. And it can automatically create tasks to certain folks if you want to really get the ball rolling. So the outreach then becomes minutes and not hours. And it's not guesswork because it's based on your own data set. So it's really exciting. And this little video here, it just kind of is going through what's happening in Dotti. So that's Dotti AI on the right. And you could just ask it questions. Which offices and prescribers do I need to reach out to? Dotti also, in our latest launch in the CRM, we have not only the prescribers that are in your system, but also an integration into the NPI database. So if you were like, I want to add all the dermatologists in my area to my CRM, you can pull all of those in. It also has offices. And this was something that our pharmacies were requesting very heavily because you might have an office that has 8 prescribers in it. So if you're going to leave a CRM note for the office, that was kind of a point you'd have to put it for each CRM or each prescriber. Now you can tag those prescribers in an office. This is just a perfect example of why Dotti works for pharmacy. So if you just leave a note for the office, Dotti AI is automatically going to put that note so you can view it across all prescribers in that office. So the marketing resources are here. Typically, when we talk about Dotti, so as not to fire hose people, because it is a really robust, awesome sales enablement tool. But typically, we talk about what's most exciting about Dotti AI. It's the product access. So we have the Atrium24 GPO. We partner and we vet, and we have on-site visits and quarterly CQI questionnaires that each 503B has to fill out. Each 503A central fill partner, we have RFIs that they have to fill out before they even get to the point of due diligence with us to see if we want to even add them to the GPO. But all this means is you can get access from your pharmacy through a click or two of a button. You can register with 503Bs, 503As, telemedicine, legal, AI bots, cold chain shipping supplies, all kinds of things that we brought into the Atrium24 GPO. You can register with vetted suppliers and you get group discount pricing. So we have hundreds of pharmacies. We're putting a lot of business through this GPO. And so instead of you finding a sales page and booking calls with reps and negotiating back and forth, you just bypass all that. You get access to all the products. Now, sermorelin was just up on the screen. Okay, Nicolette, great. I can access sermorelin. I can buy sermorelin. Now what? So in the resources, we have all the resources you would need in your pharmacy for sermorelin. We have how should I price it in my market, retail price. We have provider sell sheets and patient education sheets and RX order forms, like how it should be written based on the supplier's SKUs and how it all comes. And then so I have the product, I have the marketing resources. We've pulled all your data in from your PMS. And so now AI, you could just ask AI, how do I launch sermorelin in my practice? And it'll tell you, well, based on these prescribers and what they've been writing for, visit these guys first. Either the therapies that they write for make sense for that product, or they send you a ton of business and volume and you already talk with them anyway. But Dotti will prioritize it and create tasks. So that's kind of how we work backwards. You're probably not going to come to me and say, hey, Nicolette, I need another analytics tool because we have a ton. But you're going to say, hey, Nicolette, I need vetted product access. I need marketing resources. And then the analytics trails in, like, how do I grow this even bigger? So that's what we're most excited about at Atrium24 and with Dotti AI. And then part 2, so you have the technology and the product access and all that fun stuff. Part 2 is where you're building the skills with the Provider Liaison Field Framework with Tara. So then how does this tie in, Tara? And how do you foresee pharmacies getting like the real boots on the ground training implemented?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with the first cohort, it's going to be over 4 weeks. And basically what we're going to do is start with the pre-work is the foundations work so that we're ready to kick off and start. But ultimately, I just want to not I'm going to teach you how to build relationships with providers, not just like how to sell specific products to your providers. Whether it's clinical talking points with specialists, whether it's dermatologists or whether it's podiatrists or whether we're talking to endocrinologists or whether it's functional medicine and and it's kind of like a lot of the whole basket of options, giving you a structured framework to follow so that it becomes second nature to you, so you can go out and use it tomorrow. Each week of the training cohort, we're going to implement real world skills that you can go out and use tomorrow. So it's not like you have to learn this whole framework and then not be able to start using it. No, the whole point is real world, real life, that you can come back the following week with an actual provider situation, an objection, so that we can tackle it together, implement it, and get feedback. The cohort is literally just the beginning, and it is the initial part of it, as it's listed here. Think like a provider liaison. As I said earlier, I think that's helpful for pharmacy owners to also understand, so that you can be better prepared for the people that you hire. I think oftentimes if we don't really understand the role, it's hard to hire the best person for it. But bottom line is, with hiring, as we all know, it's a challenge in the sense that you can have the best person on paper, best person in interview. How can we set that person up, train that person to go out in the field and actually do the job that we're hiring them for? And that's what the framework, or PLFF, as I like to call it, will prepare your reps for, or you for, the pharmacy owner, so that you can go out in the field confidently and efficiently have conversations with providers, so that they are providing growth long term, as opposed to multiple random activity, dropping off flyers or emailing randomly here. I will show you and share with you a structured plan, whether it's the call, whether it's the how to follow up, what is the cadence. And this is tried and true steps that work. And that's what, as you saw, the numbers show.
Yeah, this is a lot of stuff and it's really exciting. So, and I like the framework is helpful. And like you said, it's this first founders cohort, it's 4 weeks, and we'll give you guys
Mm-hmm.
the dates. So it's very systematic about, your pre-work, your week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and then they get a certificate of completion. And this knowledge library, it's additional modules should they want to bring LDN into their practice and grow that with their prescribers, or if they want to work on veterinary provider outreach. So it's very specific, because I always say, if you've seen one pharmacy, you've seen one pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, too, when we've onboarded some pharmacies, they're like, okay, this is great. I want to do all of it. Yes, I want all of that. It's like, well,
Right.
yes, eventually, but you have to pipeline it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what's really helped me with software development too. Like, anything's possible. It's just, how expensive is it going to be, and what's the priority of it? And then we're getting into a new quarter. So what realistically do you think you're going to be able to launch and ship in this quarter? And how long is
Mm-hmm.
it going to take? You don't want to overwhelm your team, you don't want to break your systems, you don't want to burn everybody out. So realistically, what are you trying to grow? Revenue, prescribers sending business to you, and like that kind of thing. Getting into a new program, getting through and educating all your top prescribers about just even the peptide market right now. You might not see
Exactly.
an immediate return on that, but it's still valuable.
Yeah, but having a structured plan of, attack, so to speak, for lack of a better word, or implementation, is the way that you're more successful, and it just makes everything more efficient, right? Because if we don't have a framework to follow, it inhibits our ability to communicate clearly with each other. So things get like lost and some things drop off. And the whole goal is that we have a structured framework that is standard and that we all follow, so that it becomes second nature.
Exciting. And so then when someone goes through this
Mhm.
training, what can they walk away with? What can they expect?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, it's going to be 4 weekly training videos, followed by a live implementation session, where each cohort attendee is going to participate and share a specific provider example that relates to the issues that we're speaking about, so that we can tackle it together, follow up the next week, and share what that was, right? So realistically, people that join the cohort, I would like them to be already identified prior to. a handful of providers, and I'll specify which, so that we can actually see the growth and see the in real time, or even over the 4 weeks, what steps are we taking and implementing. So then it just becomes habit after that. But following with each following the cohort, everyone will receive a workbook, field journal, templates, and this is all PLF structured stuff that's been tried, tweaked, and stuff over the last 2 years with our reps. Just finding out what works best, what doesn't work, what is most helpful in the field, what isn't. We're really trying to eliminate a lot of the noise and just try to streamline stuff as much as
Yeah.
possible. There's assignments, but basically the assignment part is a real world example. It's helping you grow a provider in your pharmacy. So it's, tailored work. Obviously the community, I think we all learn from each other. That's how we all are here now. And that's where we find the pain point somebody else might be dealing with, find a solution that we can all share with each other. Obviously the certificate of completion, and then future priority access, as we showed in the previous slide. The framework is just the beginning, and having additional modules, whether they're specialty specific for providers, or if it's product specific, like LDN or ketamine or something like that. So yeah, we're excited.
Oh, that's awesome. So we are officially opening the registration now for the Provider Liaison Field Framework Founders Cohort. So this is the first time that we're taking, I mean, because we've seen incredible growth in Dotti AI with Flatirons Family Pharmacy. And, Tara is the director of business development over there. That's what's been going on. She's been hard at work, and we're like, what are you guys doing? What's happening over there? And so she's like, well, built it out into this course. And so we've collaborated and we're opening it up. I think there's such a need for this in the market. And so to this room first, it's opening up for you. We are going to cap registrations, but the first founders cohort is 4 live sessions. So it's on Wednesdays, July 15th, 29th, 15th, 22nd, 29th, and August 5th. There's founders pricing. So this is the lowest that the pricing will be. And it has a Dotti member price and then a price for just anyone. You don't have to be a Dotti member to participate in this. We just always like to GPO style give our Dotti members a discount on it, any program or product that we're working with and that we truly believe in. And then after this first cohort, the standard pricing will rise. But it's open, registrations are there. It's really exciting because we get this question all the time, and we're not consultants. I know when we first started Atrium in 2019, we were doing a lot of just individual work and consulting work, but we're not on the ground like Tara is. We're not in offices. So we've transitioned a few years ago now to a strictly technology company, and that's our lane, and that's what we're doing. And so we're really excited to partner with Tara, who knows it better than we ever could. Because she's pharma in her past life, and she's been in probably thousands of offices.
But that's something else I wanted to mention, is that I did do a provider survey to providers within our network. And I sent out a mass email to all of our providers, and I got a response of over 200 responding to a survey specifically asking them what they want from a rep when they come in, specifically a compounding rep, right? Because we're different than that. And what do you want us to share? Right. Like, to get specifics. And obviously, and actually I wanted to get real live feedback from actual providers now, and different types of providers. And so the framework was also designed with that in mind as well, with that information, so that it's real world and actually what today currently providers want, the type of education that they want when we're there, what type of resource we're providing, just more efficient ways to have reach outs to your to multiply your voice as a provider liaison or as a pharmacy owner, right? We want to try to increase our voice, multiply our voice. So the easiest way to do that is to, you might make visit calls out in the field, but then you also have a portion of your day that's sending out a distribution list for all your ketamine providers. And I show you how to do that easily with like templates and stuff. So So yeah, and just reinforcing, sometimes offices just need to see your name and be reminded that you're there, right? You have that extreme, then you have offices that they want the whole meat and potatoes, and you're there to provide that too.
I love that. Yeah, that questionnaire or evaluation is really cool too. And that's a significant end, that 200 and all. That's
Mm-hmm.
exciting. So not just a few. So this is the QR code, the website that you'll go to register for the Provider Liaison Field Framework, the PLIF,
I
and
just said Cliff.
for the PLIF. And then we've had a couple questions come in.
Sure.
And yeah, great questions coming in. Okay, so the questions coming in. So this one, Tara, someone asked, is it designed for the owner or for the actual rep?
Both. Quite honestly, both. Because the owners oftentimes will learn valuable tools. Not oftentimes. I know you will learn valuable tools in order to grow your business and even just help you think more strategically and maybe more streamline things for you, so that if you do hire a rep, when you want to hire a rep, you're able to go and do that because you understand how it's being run and you understand how you can get the most out of it. So I think it's crucial. Pharmacy owners, provider liaisons, any really provider outreach team. If you have a leadership team, because I know different independent pharmacies, we run the whole gamut size wise. So if you have a team, absolutely. Provider liaison. If you sometimes you have someone in the pharmacy that has been wanting to go out in the field more, or just doesn't know how, ideal, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So that's a good point because years ago we put out just a sales and marketing 101 and it's still in Dotti. And it was a lot about like finding a rep, hiring a rep, compensating a rep, like legal pitfalls and stuff like that. So if you're
Mhm.
a Dotti member, we can definitely help you with that part if you have questions. Um, I'm for whatever reason, I don't, it's kind of weird to say I love compliance and legal, but I live in product world, which is software, and then I live in legal world. And that's pretty much what I do
Well,
all day long.
something else I could share with you, part of the cohort is a module about, which is critically important in this space, what you can and cannot say as a provider liaison,
Right.
right? Like as a pharmacist, you can say certain things in a lunch and learn, or even in an exchange that
Yeah.
a provider, right? Those kind of things. So I cover all of that stuff so that you are prepared. And like I said, that you can, as the pharmacy owner, can feel confident that you're going in prepared to get the most out of that exchange, or just the best way to go about that particular provider based on their personality type, which I kind of give you some guidance to, just depending on the type of practice that they have. But these are all useful tools that ultimately help you understand the whole ecosystem of each practice, which then in turn helps you to be seen as a better resource for that practice because you're the go-to for them.
That's a great point too. It's a big CYA that we need because healthcare is heavily regulated. And I
Mhm.
know even in the position agreements that we have with sales rep, there's a section in the agreement where, they have to represent the pharmacy and they're only allowed to say these things. You might get some prescribers that are maybe they don't know or maybe they do, but they want to be compensated for writing prescriptions or something that's just clearly out of bounds.
Yeah.
So you just
Or
need to
even
make
just a
sure.
protocol, right? Like what is the
Right.
what's microdosing, right? Like
Yeah.
tech, those kind of things. Even
Yeah.
the social media landscape of it all. I think the provider liaison should have a role that should be part of their role too, because one, it's the marketing component, but I have found that it helps you learn the territory and the providers because you're trying to expand access or followers, right? Of
Right.
value, so that you have other offices, providers, or new practices, and that way you can get that information and stay current, or when they're having an anniversary, those kind of things. So I
Yes.
have detailed guidance on that too.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And then this one's pretty easy. What time of the day are the live sessions? Are they recorded? I believe, are they 2 p.m. Eastern
Yes.
is the live sessions?
Yeah.
And they will be recorded and accessible to the registrants. Yep. And then is it charged per pharmacy or per person. Tuan has 2 sales reps. So it's a per person course. 2 sales reps. That's great.
That is great.
Yeah. Great time and opportunity for them to just really
Yes,
build
and
out
we're
that first day.
onboarding another rep as well when we along with the cohort. So
Nice. Well,
yeah,
is there anything, if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them in. You can always email us too or call us. Our contact information's on the left. hello@atrium24.io. But if you have any more questions for me and Tara, feel free to pop them in. But is there anything that, if Tara, if you have pharmacy owners on the call who are there thinking like, I hadn't thought of this and I didn't realize there was a structured training and, what can what can they kind of go away from this call with to prepare or to kind of get started or to dip their toes maybe today?
sure. Well, I can tell you, I have searched and there isn't a standard, and that's why I was kind of shocked,
Yeah,
and that's why I developed this. It started 2 years ago at the PCCA conference in the fall, and that's where it started. And so I started building it and then implementing it with our reps, and then being able to have data to measure. And as a pharmacy owner, I understand if it doesn't seem like it was an option, but I'm here to share that now that the framework is here and it is an option, it's set up for you to be successful. It's set up for you. It's in the best situation than it ever was before, as far as if you want to hire a rep, if you want to hire a rep part-time, even, right? Are we going to be able to, the amount of time that it would take to train them as a pharmacy owner from somebody within your staff in order
right.
for them to be prepared to actually have effective conversations in the field, it would take a lot more time than the amount of time that we're asking and that we're going to provide the backup information so that that rep will be able to go out and make calls within the first couple weeks, because I'm training them or you how to have conversations without actually having this, the specific product that you're talking, you know what I mean? We're not focusing
Right.
on a specific product detail. It is, how can we expand your business? How can we help out your practice here? How can we expand those kind of things, right? We're
Yeah.
asking the open-ended questions, not going in detail and data dumping.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. It's so exciting because I think right now the biggest opportunity we all have in front of us is peptides.
Mm-hmm.
You can dispense a few of them now, sermorelin, glutathione, NAD plus, which I know is not a peptide, but it gets lumped in that whole wellness category. You can dispense hormone replacement therapy, veterinary products, sterile eye drops. There's a lot of things. And if you're a compounder, you know all the things you can dispense and customize in your pharmacy. So there's a huge opportunity now. And there's just such a window right now with all the direct-to-consumer marketing that's been happening, all the patients they're asking their prescribers questions all day long. So your prescribers want a resource too, so that they can tell their patients what's in the proper supply chain, what's research grade only and on the gray market, and just to be able to guide their patients. So
Absolutely. And that is something I wanted to mention as well, that beyond the cohort, when we talk about like continuing access, is that timely, as we know in this space, it changes on a dime, right? The new product is available or something isn't available. So know that we will consistently be updating if new opportunities arise, so that you'll know if something is coming to the market that would be providing, that you will have a resource through PLF to prepare your sales or yourself in order to go out and talk about it.
yeah, absolutely. And then last question, someone asked, what if you're not a compounding pharmacy? So even if you don't compound in your store, the
Mhm.
beauty of this is that's shaped over the past couple of years is now you can work with 503B facilities, which are FDA registered outsourcing facilities. They're producing a final product of sterile compounded medication. You can order it from them and keep it in your pharmacy and just dispense it pursuant to a prescription. So just like you would really buying from any wholesaler, it comes with an NDC number, you put it in your pharmacy management system, and you just dispense it like usual business. That's one avenue. The other avenue that you could do, depending on your state, is central fill. So you could enter into a central fill agreement with a sterile compounding pharmacy. That's another 503A, just like you're a 503A. And then if you get a prescription in from Mrs. Jones, let's say for a combo GLP that the prescriber determined this patient needs this compound, the prescription comes to you, well, then you would just send for the fulfillment function, for the compounding function, off to the central fill. They would either send it back to you or directly to the patient, depending on your state and what's going on. And that's kind of like a wholesale retail model through central fill. It sounds a little complicated. It is. We've simplified it all through the Atrium24 GPO and through Dotti. So we have all of our central fill options listed in Dotti. We have all of our 503Bs listed in Dotti. And you can literally go in and register for them, see the catalogs, see the pricing, see all the marketing materials. And you can basically become a sterile compounding pharmacy without bringing all that on. It's just bolting on this business unit onto your current business so you can serve all of your patients with those products. So you don't have to be a compounder, which is exciting. And that's a development I'd say that's pretty new within the past couple of years. All right. So thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today, Tara, and for working so hard and bringing this course to the forefront, and then working with us, trusting us to be able to deliver it on the software side. And we're so excited to bring this to our joint community and you guys first. So if you have any questions, ask us through there, through the links, or hello@atrium24.io. But we have some work to do. We're excited to start this first cohort and start training
Definitely.
folks to become Provider Liaison Field Framework certified experts.
Definitely. I'm so excited. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.